Today we're going to go and finish, again we're going to go through this portion of the Solidworks sketch tab. The first video we went over the first portion of it. We went over this portion here. On this video we're going to go over this portion right here. Hopefully we get able to touch that up today and finish this particular tab. The rest of them are pretty much settings that they have already preset. So we're just going to go over these commands, these features or commands here on the sketch tab. So initially we're going to try. I'm going to go first over the trim command here. So let me start off by creating a sketch here. I'm going to open this part, and then I'm going to want to create a sketch right here. So I'm going to go to the sketch tab. I'm going to hit the sketch, pick the face that I want to sketch in. Then I want to look at that particular face. So then I start my sketch. So I'm going to do the trim command first. So I'm just going to draw a series of lines going across here, another line going across there, another line going here. So you get to see how that trim command works. It's similar to AutoCAD. It does have the trim and the extend in this particular icon. So if you want to extend something, you'll find it within that same parameter if you hit the button itself and click on that button. So if you click on that, then you'll see exactly where it comes out. So I'm going to first hit the trim command. I am going to, this one here, you have several options. If you look here, you have several options that you can look at. It's got the power trim, which pretty much sets everything that you can trim it with a speed line. You can trim it with a corner trim. There's a trim outside, a trim inside. So this here is pretty much how you want to set it up. So if you want to do a power trim, and it's just going to start to, it's going to pick, you got to tell it exactly where you want to sort of trim it. You have to say boundaries and then start trimming parts to it, right? You pick the boundary where you want to trim it to, and it'll start to just go nuts on it. So I like that one, but it's not my favorite to work with. I kind of like doing more the trim to closest, because I feel like that one there actually gives you a faster trim. Meaning I like to trim to closest because it's just, you can just randomly, if you have an idea where you want to trim, then you just pretty much pick close to it and it'll just go around. I find like that one is the most typical one that you can find in SolidWorks and AutoCAD itself and all of those CAD packages. It seems like that one is the fastest way to go. This one, trim corner, you pick this one and that one and trims the corner. So it's like a fillet with no radius. You can also get that effect with the fillet with no radius, 0. If you set the fillet to radius 0, it'll do that as well. But here's a more accurate type of way of doing it. Let me draw some more lines so you get to see some other that feature again. So now, pretty much the trim command has all the dabs that you want to do. And in here, if you look at it in here, it pretty much self-explanatory. This is, you have to again play around with it and see what you need to do. But this command is pretty easy to understand. As far as extend is also pretty accurate. It gives you only one option. Where do you want to extend to? If you see this here, how the orange pops up, well, that's what it's telling you where it's going to go. So if you click on it, it extends it to that side over there. Again, it's got to have a line to go to. You just can't extend something outward without a boundary to go to. So if you just hit the extend command and there's no line here, then it won't do anything because it needs to go somewhere, right? That's sort of like, it needs that boundary. So in other words, if I want to make it so it makes a mistake here, if I do this and I go to the extend, see how it doesn't do anything? Because it doesn't know where to go. But if I put a line here, and then I hit the trim extend command, now you see it knows where it's got to go. Oh, you're taking me over there, right? And you say yes. And you just click on it and it'll take it to that line. So that's pretty easy to understand. If you have to do this extend, usually these commands are used if you're creating a sketch and you want to close a sketch. Usually this is where you want to sort of use that particular command, where you want to create things that are weird and you just want to sort of create a shape. Right, see, that one did it backwards because it goes this way. So if you say undo, and now on this particular one, if you just want this piece to go away, then it's better to use this one, because then that way you'll take that one off. Right. So that's the trim and extend options of SolidWorks. It does have that option there for you. So play around with that. It's just trim and extend entities. Now we're going to do the convert entity. You can do a convert entity in this face as well. You can just pick this face and pick the command, pick these edges here, and it will convert those edges, so make them to the face. So that is on a part itself. You can then offset that, right, by clicking on the offset command there. You tell it, let's see, let's go, let's reverse it. Right, so now it's sort of pushed it in and confirm that, and now you have that look. If you were trying to do like an extrude feature from this face here, right? It'll create something funky like that. Okay, so that's how that might work. Like if you want to create something similar to that, it's an extrude thin, or if you just don't like the extrude thin, you just wanted the basic extrude. Right, and you delete that and you pick this baby here and you tell it to be not a thin feature, and you say I want you to come out, click on that, now you get that look. So that's how that will work if you wanted to create a profile from that. So go back to the sketch tab, and we did the convert entity, but there's another, if you notice, there's another convert entity at a different level. This is at the part level, but on the assembly level there's another option that you can do there. So then let's go back to the assembly so you can see what I'm talking about. Just gonna update that. Let's say for instance you want to convert. So next we're going to do convert entity. The way this command works is you have to, if you want to convert something with an assembly, that means if you want to use this as a, let's say you need a package, make a package, and you need to put this inside so that it fits inside of a box, let's say, something that you're creating. So the way you do that is if you go to, first you want to right click on this and say edit the part. Within there, then you sort of want to create a sketch, and you pick the face that you want to create the sketch for. Now you're sort of in that sketch mode. So now you hit the convert entity, and now it's going to tell you the entity to convert. Now what you need to do is come in here and you need to dig for that particular extrusion. So right now this is the revolve, but here's the sketch. So if you click on that, it says, do you want to convert this? And you say yes please, and you convert that. Now you have a profile to work with, right? So you know now what you could do is say, you know what, I like that, but I need to offset this, make it a little bit bigger so that it fits not perfectly. It has to be enough space for that. So if hit offset entity and you pick on that item and it says, okay, yeah, I think I want to give it that 0.10 look. You confirm that. Now you can just, again, you can the trim extend, right? The trim extend, right? And then you can say trim. This time you're going to trim this along right there. You're going to get rid of this. You're going to trim this. You're going to get rid of, and you're going to sort of keep everything the way it is. And then you want to convert this into a construction line, right? So that's not what's going to be spun around. So you want this. You want to convert that to a center line. At that point, you should be able to go into extrude, revolve, cut, and say yes, please. You can do that. And it needs the axis to revolve around. So pick this. Say, yeah, that seems about right. Confirm that. Now you get out of that, and now you have a cut where you're using the sketch from this profile to sort of make it fit that part in there. Now you can make that even smaller. Right now it's 10. You can make it 0.05, and that's how an entity, you can apply that to a part that exists using a sketch from another part to create a cut so that this part can fit in that part. That kind of a fantasy world, right? Same thing can go for this. If you need to make a key slot, something, a key that goes into a cut. So this is also another way you can use it. You need to make a part to fit inside there, but you want to, again, you don't want to make it perfect because it won't fit. So you right click on here. So you edit the part. Again, you want to sketch on this face. So you go to sketch, pick on the face. Now you want to borrow this to fit it in there, right? So go back to your sketch tab, say convert entity. Did we do it? Sometimes it's just sketch. I'll pick it again. Sometimes it just makes a little bit. So now you're in sketch mode, convert, and you can pick on this. For goodness sake, there it is. Sometimes it's a little bit picky sometimes, but you just gotta keep working through it. Then you want to say offset. This time you want to say 0.02, let's say, and pick your offset. Tell it to reverse it to go in, right? And then you confirm that. You take these entities here, you want to turn them into construction lines, right? Because you don't, okay, something's goofy going on here in my Solidworks today. Weird, just disappeared. So now you have your part where you sort of want to extrude, and say feature extrude. Until you want to extrude that, and say, well, I want you to come out. Oh boy, it's really picky nacky today. Let's say so around there. Converting that, and there you have it. Sometimes SolidWorks is a little picky, but you just gotta keep working around it. You have your part that's gonna slide in there, and it's not gonna crash or anything. So it's just okay. Yeah, I think I probably could extrude that a little bit more, but you can just say, well, give me 195 there. Let's just say 195. So that's how you work with these convert entities when you have an assembly, right? These parts, you can use existing assembly parts to create something within SolidWorks and use the sketch so you don't have to repeat it again. And also, if these sketches are, you maintain some integrity with it, you should be able to modify this part and it should automatically adjust on the other side if it maintains that type of integrity. Sometimes it doesn't, so you have to repeat. But so far, this is how you get to do 2 parts there. So let's go back to the part itself so we can continue with what we were doing before, right? So let's go back to the sketch tab and let's create a sketch here, because I want to go over this command here, the offset command. It's not terribly hard, but it's good to go over it, right? You have that part there. Now you want to offset it. It's similar to Solidworks, to AutoCAD offset. You could have, but it has these options here, right? So you can add dimensions, so it'll put a dimension on there. You can reverse it. You can select by chain, bi-directional, and so forth. So if you put, let's say, 0.25, and you see how it's going one way, but you see how that arrow flips back and forth? If you turn it this way, it'll put it 25 inside, and it's actually adding a dimension for you. So it does select by chain, or you can select individually. I like doing it by chain, but again, it all depends on what exactly you need. It's good to let it put that dimension there. I don't know if you saw that in the options, right? When you create the offset, because it's good to be able then to change it back and forth if you need to make it bigger or smaller. Let's do the mirror and the pattern. Okay, so we'll work on these today so you guys get an idea what it looks like. We're gonna put a line here. I'm gonna take that line. It's got to be a construction line. We're gonna put a circle. Series of circles here. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes, and we're going to hit the mirror entity. It's going to tell you right here, entities to mirror. So you say, I want this circle and that circle. It says you can if you uncheck this, it'll make one mirror but won't make a copy. But if you leave it checked, it'll create a copy on the opposite side. So mirror about what? It needs a center line. Again, this is the same thing. See that little center line symbol there? It needs that. So if you click on this, it makes it on the other side. Again, if you notice now, it's got those little green dots with the little diagonal line going through it. That means symmetry. Again, what that means is if I take this and I move it around, it's creating a symmetry on opposite sides. Okay? So that's important for you to know that. If you don't want that, you have to take those constraints out. You have to delete them. You click on it and hit delete. That symmetry will go away. Okay. So let's go over. Let's use the bottom portion here. And let's go over another. Let me create another sketch here, so we can go over. Right there. Let's do a sketch. Let's confirm this. I'm still on that mode. Okay, so let's come here. Let's create a sketch there. And let's create a circle so you guys can see this linear pattern in action. So there's 2 types. There's circular, and then there's the linear. This is similar to AutoCAD, where you do either polar or a linear pattern. So if I take the linear pattern, it's going to ask me what the direction of the X is, right? So if I pick this here, that is where the X is going towards, right? And then it's going to ask me for the Y direction. If I say I want the Y direction to be here, now it's picking the Y direction to be that way, right? So you made it sort of backwards. You made X and Y this way. It's going to ask you for now to select entities to pattern. If you pick on this part, you see how it starts to create your pattern. So it's telling you how many directions you want there. You say, well, I want, but then you say, I wanted to reverse that. You can always pick this to go the opposite way, right? And then you slowly start to add more to it, more distance to it. more of that to that. More entities. More entities here. You get the gist of it. You see, you can pretty much play with that as much as you want. You can also change the angle of this. So right now this is at 0 angle here. This is 270, but you can do 180. Didn't do much. It's doing something weird, but you can't notice it barely. So so now you have your pattern, and you can always confirm that by picking it, and you can always change that by clicking on these numbers here. If you don't like it, if you want less, you double click on that, and you can say, well, I want it to be 5. So now you have 5. You can say, well, I don't want this to be I wanted this to be 2. And you can just, so once it's made, the good thing about it is simple. It's not like AutoCAD's pattern, where if you made it, you pretty much owned it. You had to restart. This gives you at least some options to change it by just clicking on these numbers here to make a different pattern that you don't like. So let's go over circular pattern so you guys can see how that works. So let's get a sketch here. Let's do another circle. And another circle there. So, where did you put it at? Okay. Took the wrong side of the face. Awesome. Well, it don't matter. You still get the gist of it here. If I come over here and I say, well, I want a circular pattern, it's going to ask me what I want to circle around. So it's telling you, do you want that to be circle? You say, not quite. I want it to be here. Let's say. Let's do that again. Okay. Let's see what this does. It's picking up center point of this. See that? Place it all, because see how it's picking that right there. It's taking it to 0, 0, 0 there. So if you just don't want that, you can tell it, no, I don't want that. I want you to go here. Okay. Very picky type of command again. These. Okay. Let's do a dot. Let's do a point somewhere here. Point, point, point. Let's see if it does that. If it does it with the Okay, here we go. Sometimes it's just got, again, you gotta keep playing with it until you get what you want. This is this is pretty cool too. You can also change the number here. Again, every time you see a number there, you just double click on it. You can say 12. Let's just put 12. So that's how that works. That's not too difficult of a command. So now we're going to go to the move entities. These are the ones that I find sometimes a little picky, because you're trying to make it and it's just sometimes it doesn't do what you want. But here you have several of them. You have the move, copy, rotate, scale, and sketch entities. Okay, so this has like 5 different commands in there. Don't know why they do it that way, but I think it's when you click on it, it tells you entities to move, right? And then at that point you can also click on. So if you, let's say for instance you want to move this, oops, why did I do that? And it picked all of that, and then it starts a start point. You pick the center of this. Now you can see how it's moving from that center, right? If you want to copy it, it's almost the same thing. It's going to ask you entities to copy. You copy that. Start point, you can either put X and Y or you just put a point. And then when you place it, it's going to make a copy of that. Now, the only one that has the 12 is this one. The rest of them don't have 12. So if you come up here and say I want 10 on this one, the rest of them don't change. They don't maintain integrity with the copy. It's just a copy, and then you sort of have to make sure that's what you wanted. Rotate entities. I'm probably going to do like, let me do a rectangular shape here so you can see how that works. It's easier to see on a rectangular shape. So rotate entities. Entities to rotate, you pick the center of rotation, right? You say, well, I want it to be on this spot right here, and then you start to give it the degrees that you want. So if you say 45, it's going to put 45 from here to here. Confirm that. That's done, right? That's the rotation of that. Then scale entities. Same thing. You pick it. You tell it where you want to scale about. And here's where you have to sort of be careful, make sure, because it doesn't. If you go negative on the one below, it makes it smaller. So if you say 1.5, you want it 1.5 bigger, then that's what it does. It just creates a part 1.5 bigger. If you hit copy here, it'll create a copy of that scale. So you keep the original one, and it makes a scale of that of the other one, right? Of that copy. Sketch stretch entities is same entities to stretch. You pick this guy here. From to, you pick this little dot there, and it just starts to stretch it. Sometimes it won't work, but I think I'd rather, what I do when I want to stretch something, I just pick on it and drag it. I don't use that stretch command that much because this is pretty intuitive. It does this for you, so why crack your head if you just can drag something just by clicking it? If you left click and drag, it does a stretch. You know, so I rarely use that command. To be honest with you, I try to be efficient as much as I can, and I don't go through all. I don't do the sketch and stretch entities here. It just doesn't make any sense to me to do that. So that pretty much, if you activate that, it does something. It just activates things in here. So that pretty much covers all of the sketch tab. If you followed the first video, this is the first video we went over all of these entities, the first one, and then now we're going, today we sort of went through all of these. So that covers the sketch entities of that program itself, of this tab itself, of the sketch tab. Next time I'm going to go over this tab. Maybe not so much. This is more, if you have it tabulated, I'll probably start working on the surfaces. You know what, I'm probably going to start punching in through the surfaces here. I won't go too crazy on the surfaces because I particularly don't work a lot with surfaces. If that's your thing, then I suggest there's other YouTubers that do all kinds of surfacing designs. My case has always been mechanical, so my strong point is all steel and sheet metal and bolts and nuts and that kind of stuff. I know enough of this to be able to talk about it, but I'm not an expert on surfaces, so I'll probably just touch on the first couple of them here, and then if you want to watch a really good surface YouTube video, then I suggest you search, and you'll find there's plenty of the people who do other type of work with this. My strong point again would be either sheet metal. I can really go deep into this, and structural systems and weldments and stuff and mold tools and that kind of a thing. But I'll keep punching these out, and hopefully you guys keep watching them. Please subscribe and hit the like button, also notification, so that I can continue working on these. I do enjoy teaching, but I would like to see a little bit more interaction. And if you have any comments, please put your comments below, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Once again, this is Simple Solidworks, and I hope that you get to see you next time for the next portion of this tutorials.